I invite you now, Miami Beach today.
1980s Miami. Known as a place to soak up the sun, to sip margaritas on the beach, and, also, for its violent drug war. And this is the story of one woman who became the godmother of cocaine. Miami in 1981 was responsible for trafficking 70% of the country's cocaine, 70% of the country's marijuana, and 90% of the country's counterfeit quaaludes. Where was it all coming from? Colombia. At the height of her career, Griselda Blanco was earning upwards of $80 million per month, along with fellow Medellin cartel traffickers Rafael Cardona Salazar, Mickey Monday, John Roberts, and Max Mermelstein. Griselda was the female drug lord known for insatiable bloodlust. She was responsible for ordering over 200 murders, including 3 of her husbands. But how did a frail-looking mother of 4 become one of the most feared gangster bosses in the world? And most importantly, how did it end? Griselda Blanco was born in Cartagena, Colombia, in 1943. At age 3, her and her mom, Ana Blanco, moved to Medellin. In her early years, Griselda faced a harsh upbringing in the slums, enduring beatings from her alcoholic mother. She became a pickpocket and a sex worker. But shockingly, at just 11 years old, she abducts a child from an affluent area and demands her parents pay a hefty ransom. The mother and father of the son don't take the threat seriously, but Griselda kills the boy in cold blood. Already, she shows her desire to kill in order to get what she wants. Age 13, Griselda got into a relationship with an 18-year-old named Carlos Trujillo, an expert forger who teaches Griselda the ways of passport forgery. Together, they organize the illegal smuggling of thousands of people into the USA. By the time she's 19, the pair are married with 3 sons, but Carlos Trujillo dies suddenly of liver failure, leaving Griselda to take center stage. Her second marriage to coke trafficker Alberto Bravo led her to New York, where they built a drug smuggling empire within Bravo's clothing import business. Blanco set up a secret compartment system in women's underwear and bras, so that women could easily smuggle cocaine into the US without detection. Griselda encouraged her new army of Colombian women to dress provocatively and to flirt with border guards in order to avoid detection. By the 70s, Griselda was a major player in the booming cocaine industry, employing 1,500 dealers. Embracing the role of an underworld figure, Griselda indulged in a lavish lifestyle and notably named her youngest son Michael Corleone, inspired by the renowned mob boss from The Godfather. However, her fortunes nearly took a turn in 1975, when she faced drug conspiracy charges that led to her indictment. Griselda always maintained a staffed jet for escape, and fled to Colombia to escape the US government. Back in South America, Blanco accused husband Albert Bravo of theft, believing him to be skimming millions of their marital business. Confronting him in a nightclub's parking lot, she swiftly drew a pistol from her ostrich skin boot, resulting in a deadly altercation. Albert Bravo was dead, but despite sustaining a stomach wound from his submachine gun, Griselda survived. She began to be referred to as the Black Widow. Yet there was another man she had to begin worrying about: Pablo Escobar. The Colombian cocaine rival wasn't scared of Griselda Blanco and set out to make it impossible for her to stay in Medellin. Griselda took full control of the drug smuggling business set up by her and Alberto Bravo. She remarried a man named Dario Sepulveda and fearlessly returned to the United States, settling in Florida under the radar of law enforcement. Her significantly altered appearance, ravaged by drug use, allowed her to evade recognition from existing photographs.
News Tonight with Peter Jennings.
Good evening. Once again, the day's news is dominated by the struggle to win a war against the drug cartels in Colombia and to shape a presidential drug policy which will prove effective for the United States.
Despite her reckless and messy lifestyle, her drug distribution network had grown to immense proportions, raking in enough to make her a $1.5 billion fortune. She would kill anybody who displeased her, an attorney at the U.S. Department of Justice would later say. Because of a debt, because they screwed up on a shipment, or just because she didn't like the way they looked at her. Her Miami reign was marked by extreme violence, murdering rivals, hosting orgies, and conducting targeted hits in broad daylight, like the Dadland Mall shooting. During a July afternoon in 1979, assailants stormed a mall's liquor store, unleashing a barrage of bullets targeting a well-known Colombian drug trafficker and his guard. The attack resulted in the deaths of the two men and left several innocent bystanders wounded. Fleeing the scene, the assassins used a delivery van labeled Happy Time Complete Party Supply, later recovered by law enforcement and characterized as a war wagon due to its haul of firearms and bulletproof vests. Griselda innovated hit techniques and came up with the now classic hit where gunners would ride motorcycles to execute targets, leaving a trail of bloodshed. A quarter of morgue victims in Miami had automatic gun wounds. The Miami cops and the DEA knew Griselda Blanco is behind the bloodshed on the streets of multiple U.S. cities. But what they don't know is where she is orchestrating her billion-dollar network. Drug enforcement agent Bob Palumbo pursued a Colombian prisoner to try and infiltrate Griselda's inner circle. Most importantly, her 3 sons, who oversee the family's drug operations in Miami, Los Angeles, and San Francisco.
They were moving tremendous amounts of cocaine, both on the West Coast in California, as well as Miami.
Palumbo offers Jerry Gomez, a former friend of the boy's father Carlos Trujillo, that he can be released from his 10-year prison sentence should he agree to go undercover. There was risk of Gomez fleeing and potentially embarrassing the DEA on a huge scale, but it was the only option American law enforcement had.
Griselda never showed on the radar. Her name was mentioned, but she was never physically seen by any of us.
Wearing a wire, Jerry Gomez meets up with Dixon Blanco, who concedes that his mother is constantly on the move between Miami and Los Angeles. 3 weeks later, Jerry's line of contact extends to the Black Widow herself, who phones him up wanting to meet. She'd taken the bait. Blanco invites Gomez to meet her in an LA hotel. Gomez's mission from the DEA is to get Blanco to incriminate herself on his recording device. Gomez begins to lose his cool, and Griselda smells his fear. She knows something is up. The meetup ends swiftly, but on review of the tapes, Bob Palumbo realizes Griselda concedes an address of one of her local dealers. Palumbo decides to stake out the address, believing it could be the Black Widow's hideout. There was a lack of hard evidence, but the DEA knew they may never see Griselda Blanco again.
And we just looked at each other and it was, this is it.
No one was in the house besides Griselda Blanco. There was no booby traps, no guards. Her sole pistol sat on her bedroom dressing table just out of reach. As the Black Widow was arrested, Bob Palumbo went up to her and gave her a kiss on the cheek, telling her it was because he was glad to see her. He had hunted her for a decade.
So one day I just blurted out, I said, if I ever catch her, I'm going to give her a kiss of death because she's driving me crazy.
Griselda Blanco was sentenced to 15 years for drug charges and later faced 3 counts of murder 12 years later. She pleaded guilty to 3 counts of second-degree murder in 1998, adding another 20 years to her sentence. In 2004, she was released and deported to Colombia. She stayed hidden for more than 5 years, before in 2012 is taken out by one of her own methods of murder.
She is dead, gunned down by a motorcycle-riding assassin as she stepped out of a butcher shop in Medellin, Colombia. But this cocaine godmother made her name as drug kingpin right here in this country, in Miami in the 70s.
Griselda Blanco is gunned down by her own ruthless mafia. She was aged 69. In the end, notorious Medellin cartel drug lord Griselda Blanco's legacy will always be associated with the vicious approach she exerted over the cocaine trade in the 1970s and 1980s. Although she was too cunning to pull the trigger on enemies herself, Blanco had no qualms about ordering the bloody murder of anyone who stood in the way of her wealth and power. Ultimately, she met the same fate as many she had called for herself. Gunned down by a hired assassin at the behest of a rival. It's believed Blanco had a peak net worth of nearly $2 billion at the height of her criminal career, but it was perhaps the trail of bodies and bloodshed that will best define her. Sparked by the Dadeland Mall shooting, the Miami drug war plagued the city and caused hundreds of deaths between 1979 and 1986. Griselda Blanco's reign of terror gave rise to the cocaine cowboys, cartel soldiers who would do the unthinkable and target women and children as part of Blanco's war against other dealers. It was a brutal strategy, but an effective one. Pablo Escobar filled the void left by Blanco's death and took the Miami drug trade to new heights. However, after his own violent demise in 1993, brothers Miguel and Gilberto Rodriguez Orejuela, founders of the Cali cartel, took over. Their use of Escobar's platform gave the Cali cartel control over 80% of the world's cocaine trade, making more than $7 billion a year and becoming the most successful and prolific criminal enterprise in history. But it was Griselda, the cocaine godmother, who arguably forged their path to unseen riches.